Okay, so we're back. Now the control is switched to the timeline. As you can see, she does her little animation. No, it's not smooth, and it's going to jump when it hits 180 because I just dragged it from the middle, but that's okay. This is, again, for just quick demonstration purposes. So now we have Vicky. She's animated. She has LODs set for everything. She has a texture atlas, so easy textures. We're going to go to File, Export, and we're going to hit FBX. We're going to navigate to our characters directory, Daz, Mary, and we'll just name her Mary. Although, to be honest, we're going to do this. Mary Base, and I'll show you why in a little bit. And we say export to FBX. Now, this is going to think about it. It's going to build our morphs and see what's going on. They're all set to bake by default. Notice, bake. It identifies your UVs. Notice everything's on Tune UV, and it sees all of our LODs. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to export it like this. We're going to include animations, right? Props and figures. We don't need cameras or lights. We definitely want texture definitions, but I don't need copies of the textures because we already exported our Atlas textures. Leave all your figure options selected. I like the binary format, and again, standard motion builder. Click accept. What it's going to do now is go into the background, and it's going to calculate all the weights between the joints, the various weight maps on the figure themselves, calculate it for the clothing that we have equipped, etc., right? And write it all up and export the whole darn thing as an FBX. Okay? So that's the base process. For the moment, well, for now, we're done with Daz. So I'm going to just exit. I'm not even going to save it. Like I said, this is just for you guys in demo purposes. Now, if I wanted, I could take this straight into Unity. So I'll jump over here and open Unity. My current working folder. Yes, it's got to think about it for a second for you to do its whole little magic opening process. So let's see, let's jump into my character setup scene, which is nice and empty and easy to work with. And you'll notice in my models, yes, there's a ridiculous amount of things in here. I have all kinds of cool stuff in here, and I have a little folder for Daz. I'm going to open Windows Explorer so I can go in here and grab things. Do this, slide over, go down to the Documents, Unity, Working, i.e. where we saved our character. Remember, we put the character here for Mary. So if you look at Mary, she's got an FBX and 3 images. That's it. So I'm going to grab the Mary folder from Daz, and I'm just going to drag it into here so I have a copy. Now Unity's going to think about it. It's going to load the images, and then it's going to process the FBX behind the scene. Notice it's looking at the images first. And it has to parse the images first so it knows what it's going to be applying in the background as materials when it imports your character. And like I said, the reason this is so slow is that when Daz creates a character to give us the ultimate in flexibility, they provide a ridiculous amount of materials. I'm thinking this is not going to look the way I expect it to. Our FBX ports 0, 1, everything's set for normal. She's there. Let's see what we get. Let's drag her in here and just drop her into the scene. We'll focus on her. If I don't switch her. Try that again. There she is. Hi, Mary. So let's pull Mary up here and drag her into the scene so we can see her. We can slide her over here so we can see her a little better. Let's see what we get. Now, notice all kinds of wacky things going on here. The hair's off kilter and everything. And you know why the hair's off kilter? Because when I put it, I didn't actually snap it to her. It mounted there, but I bet you if I went back to Daz and looked, it wouldn't be there. You can offset it, right, by coming down to where her hair is. Range your hair and adjust it to fit her better. There we go. looks like a better view. There. That looks a bit more like what I had in mind. So there, she is with her stuff. Oh, it's a little too forward. Look at you can see that gap right there. But that's okay. I will live with this. She has a scene animation, which by default is imported in here. If I hit play, we'll see that our character is standing there. Yeah, I gotta fix that offset for her hair to make it stick, but you get a basic character and she's there and she's ready to go. Not so bad, not so hard. The downside is that when you look inside of Mary here, you'll see all these millions and millions of millions of material layers, right? All broken out into all these different locations. What this means for us is if we hit stats, you'll see our draw calls from just her standing there not doing anything are already up to 331. Okay, minimizing that requires us to get involved with the middle program. In our case, I use Ultimate Unwrap 3D. Let me show you what I mean by that. Hang on one second. Let me get out of here. I'm going to delete Mary's base out of here for the moment, at least out of this active scene. Save it and exit. Now, that being the case, let me open Ultimate Unwrap. Now, Ultimate Unwrap, what we're going to do is we're going to open that same FBX file we just created. Alright, so we're going to go to Documents, slide down to Unity, Working Characters, Daz, and Mary. So we got just one FBX. So we're going to open that up. Ultimate Unwrap's going to do much like Unity. Think about the file, look at it, parse it, get it ready. Hence the little make please wait thing down here. When it's done thinking, it'll present us with this summary panel. Notice there's one animation, everything else. I'm going to say OK and bring her inside. I forgot how much recording and doing anything slows down this machine. So anyway, her UV space is here. She appears in the right panel. You can control F to fit her. Notice her hair is all funky, which I'm ignoring. I'm sorry. Like I said, this is just, I didn't even save the file. It's just for demonstration purposes. But if you open up her materials, you'll notice you have this vast list of materials. But we all know from experience that every material in here is actually using only a single texture. I can prove that real quick by going back to the Documents panel where we exported this folder. Mary. She has one image that sets diffuse, i.e. color, one for bump, and one for opacity, like for the hair, to do transparency on the hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the materials one by one. And we're going to go to the materials list, right? See them here? And I'm going to select them, all of them one by one, and walk down here, select, etc. As you see them going, of course, they're all igniting in red over on the right hand side. Now, if you notice the name of the materials here, as I'm going down here, I've just reached the bottom of the character itself. Everything else is her gear. Now, in my case, what I like to do is I'll go back to that skin hip, and I will select Assign. Okay, what it'll do is in the background, it's going to take all those materials and take every poly that was material mapped and map it to the skin hips. But the program is extremely smart, and it won't change how the layout looks on your UV map, which for our purposes right now is fantastic. Now, if I come over here and I deselect everything and I go to, say, skin torso here and I try to select, it'll say, hey, there's nothing here, right? So you can actually come through and delete one by one all those other textures. It's tedious, but not difficult, okay? what I like to do is come through here and work through them one by one. Pull out all those old extraneous textures, surfaces actually. You know, honestly, I should have left her bald because that hair is really annoying. That's alright though. Almost done with the figure maps. Okay, now the remaining stuff is all of her garb. So I like to keep two materials on my figures. One for the gear they're wearing, one for the character itself. That way if I do anything with tinting colors, I want to give the character a tan or let them customize little things, I can do it that way, and it makes it a little easier on me personally. So that's just my take on things. So I come back here, and again, just like before, I selected them all and assigned them to the top texture, whatever it was. Deselect, come over here, delete. So now she's down to two surfaces. I simply say, okay. Now I'm not actually going to do any other manipulations here. I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to save as. It's going to be saved as an FBX file. And instead of calling her Mary Base, I'm going to call her Mary 01 so we can tell them apart. I'm going to save it. I'm going to not embed the textures, but I am going to export the texture paths. And I'm going to export the groups as meshes. Now these are important. Groups will keep the gear separate so you can take them off, swap them out, etc. Full texture pass ensures that when it's imported into Unity, it knows where to find things. So we say OK. I'm going to take this exported model. Now that it's done, it just flashed. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to Unity.